Why Rikers Island is closing, the truth behind the shutdown. New York City's Rikers Island, America's most notorious jail. For nearly a century, it has been the stage for riots, gang wars, corruption scandals, and some of the darkest human rights abuses on U.S. soil. But now, it's shutting down. Politicians claim it's about reform. Activists say it's about justice. But the real reason? That's a story no one is telling you. The truth behind the shutdown is far more shocking and far more dangerous than you've been led to believe. The Island of Broken Promises. Rikers Island wasn't built to be a symbol of failure. When construction began in the 1930s, city officials promised it would be the future of corrections, modern, humane, and efficient. An island fortress, isolated from the city where order would prevail. But from the very beginning, it was doomed. Overcrowding plagued the facility almost instantly. Violence surged. Guards were outnumbered. Corruption thrived. And the very isolation that was supposed to make it secure made it a breeding ground for abuse. For decades, politicians stood at podiums promising reform. Every mayor had a plan. Every commissioner swore they would fix Rikers. But inside those walls, nothing ever changed. Instead, the cycle of chaos only got worse. The pressure cooker. By the 2000s, Rikers had become a pressure cooker ready to explode. Inmates weren't just locked up, they were warehoused. Tens of thousands crammed into decaying facilities. Reports of brutality from both inmates and correction officers skyrocketed. Inmates described it as a war zone. Guards described it as survival. Families described it as hell. And the city? They called it unsustainable. Then came the case that broke everything open, the Kalief Browder effect. Kalief Browder was 16 years old when he was sent to Rikers Island. His crime? Allegedly stealing a backpack. Bail was set at $3,000. His family couldn't pay. Kalief spent over 1,000 days behind bars. 2 years of that in solitary confinement. He was beaten by inmates. He was beaten by guards. He attempted suicide multiple times. And when he was finally released, his case dismissed, he couldn't escape the trauma. Kalief Browder later took his own life. Kalief's story shocked the nation. It turned Rikers from a local scandal into an international disgrace. And it lit the fire that would ultimately force New York's hand, political theater, who really wanted Rikers closed. Every New York City mayor for the last half century has promised to fix Rikers. But instead of fixing it, they buried the truth. Violence rose, corruption thrived, deaths mounted, and each administration kicked the can down the road. When de Blasio announced Rikers would finally close, it sounded like a bold move, but behind the applause, a darker game was playing out. Closing Rikers wasn't just about justice, it was about politics, money, and power. By declaring Rikers a failure beyond repair, the city unlocked billions of dollars for new projects. The plan? Replace Rikers with smaller, modern jails in Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx, each costing billions to build. Developers got contracts, politicians got headlines, but did New Yorkers get justice? Follow the money. The official price tag to close Rikers and build 4 new jails? Over $8 billion. Critics say that number is closer to 12 or even 15 billion once the dust settles. But ask yourself, if Rikers is unsafe, violent, and crumbling, why not rebuild on the island itself? Why scatter smaller jails across the boroughs? Because closing Rikers isn't just about safety. It's about real estate. The land Rikers sits on is massive, over 400 acres, worth untold billions. Environmental groups want it turned into green space. Developers see dollar signs. Politicians, they see legacies. Everyone has a reason to want Rikers gone, except the people who live with the consequences. Communities fought back, saying the city was simply moving the problem from one neighborhood to another. Smaller jails, same violence, same corruption, just a new address. The hidden crisis, Rikers today. Here's the truth. They don't put in press releases. Rikers isn't closing tomorrow. In fact, as of now, it's still very much open and falling apart. Inmates describe rat infestations, freezing winters, boiling summers. Correction officers describe chaos, short staffing, rampant gang violence, total loss of control. In 2021 alone, 16 people died at Rikers, the highest number in decades. Slashings reached historic levels. Officers began resigning in droves, leaving cell blocks virtually abandoned. Entire units went unguarded. Some called it a humanitarian crisis. Others called it what it's always been, hell on earth. And while politicians debate, real people, both inmates and officers, are dying inside those walls. Federal intervention? With chaos spiraling out of control, some demanded the federal government step in. Calls for a federal takeover grew louder. Monitors appointed by the courts issued scathing reports. Rikers is unsafe. Rikers is beyond repair. But here's the twist. Federal takeover doesn't mean freedom for inmates. It doesn't mean justice for families. It means another layer of bureaucracy, another layer of delay. And while leaders fight over who controls Rikers, the island keeps consuming lives.